All right, everybody, welcome back. We are back with another episode of Related to the Game, as always, Ben with Prasan, my brother in law. Um, Back again to talk some more NFL for the most part. It's it's been a little longer than normal. We've been doing once a week. This one was kind of a week and a half, but it's good to be back and ready to fire away here at another one. After this one, we'll take a longer break and we'll come back for our next episode right before the Super Bowl. But yeah, we can get right into it. Start off with some divisional round reactions. Prasan, you can go first. What do you have?
Um, yeah, it was a good, another good weekend. I think the weekend started kind of slow, it felt like, and we had Bills Broncos to start, which ended up being a good game. It felt like it wasn't necessarily the game that people expected it to be offensively, and there were a lot of turnovers in the first half. So we'll dive into that one first. So Bills Broncos, man, it's crazy because it feels like that both teams lost. The Bills obviously lost the game, and I'll come back to that in a little bit. But obviously, the biggest thing there is the Broncos ended up pulling out the game, and then almost out of nowhere, the announcement that Bo Nix got hurt and he's going to be missing the rest of the playoffs. So
Yeah,
that'll
when
be a
you texted
go ahead.
me shortly after that game ended and just Bo Nix is out, and I was like, I thought you were joking or talking about someone else. I was like, Bo Nix, the guy who just won the game and didn't leave with an injury. And then yeah, I looked on my phone and all the news alerts. Yep, Bo Nix is done for the season, just out of nowhere. It was crazy.
Well, I saw it posted first and I was like, oh, this just must be like a fake account that's posting it. And then I like refreshed the X feed and Adam Schefter had tweeted it and I was like, oh no. So it's crazy that happened. Um, so in that game though, Josh Allen is I think a key factor of two ways. I think he played well enough to win the game. However, on the other side of that, he turned the ball over a lot, right? I think they were in a position that they could have won the game. I think he did enough offensively to win the game, but I think he also lost them the game. Turnover right before half, the fumble there was brutal. A couple interceptions. So yeah, I mean, it felt like he was Superman still, but it felt like he also made the mistakes to lose them the game. Um, anything you've got on that, or any takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, right what you said. I mean, Josh Allen. We were talking. This has to be the Bills' year. All the other big dogs from years past aren't in the playoffs, and he figuratively and literally fumbled it away. I mean, that that halftime sequence, it's 10-10. Broncos score a touchdown with a few seconds left, and then Josh Allen fumbles it right back to him to give him another free 3 points. I mean, that's just brutal in the
I lost you
playoffs
the
to
game.
to
Yeah.
give it away like that. So I mean, brutal, and I mean, it got his coach fired too. I mean, that
Yeah, we
loss did,
can.
and you can kind of put that loss, I think, a decent amount on Josh Allen. He definitely
Yeah.
didn't play his best. I mean, we have talked about how he was the only reason they were in the position they were in, but still,
Mm.
he fumbled it away, and yeah, now their season's done. Coach is gone, and the Broncos are going to the AFC Championship with Jarrett Stidham playing quarterback. So,
Yeah,
kind
we'll
of a
come to that for
yeah,
sure.
kind of a wild
I
outcome from
think
that one.
I think in that game, I've watched. I've come to really like the Bills. I watched the Bills a lot. I like Josh Allen a lot. I probably watched almost every Bills game for the last 4 or 5 years. And the problem it feels like with the Bills fans felt it this year. I mean, you could tell that they felt this had to be the year, like we've talked about in the past. This no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Jackson, all these things. The Bills fans, I think, felt that this year, right? And no discredit to the Broncos or obviously the Patriots, who we'll talk about, but I think it was definitely felt. I also think they kind of got screwed a little bit, the Bills. I think first of all, the last interception was not an interception. I think it was caught by Brandon Cooks. I think there was enough there to say that he caught it was down. And in a couple other games this weekend, there were similar plays, and they called a reception by the receiver. I think that's one. And then I actually don't agree with either of the pass interference calls. One of them closer than the other, but I think both pass interference calls on Buffalo when they were playing defense there. I don't know. I don't in overtime. I don't think those were
Yeah, I mean,
enough to
it
flag.
definitely kind of for the Bills, especially their fans, feels like that game was taken from them
Yeah.
by, in large part, the refs. Um, I'm I like getting into the nitty gritty of like the rule book, and when there's controversial plays like that, I like to look up the rule and read it for myself. Just I don't know, I'm nerd like that. Um, I do kind of think. Well, first of all, I want to say that Brandon Cooks catch, in my opinion, should be a catch in football. I mean, he
Yeah.
had control, went to the ground. That's what you think of when you think of a catch. But I do kind of think with how the rules are written that I think they got the call right. I just don't think
Mm,
that that's how it should be.
mm.
But then, yeah, those pass interferences, one was really light and the other one was,
I
kind of on the
could call it,
fence.
but yeah. Sure.
And you just don't want to see playoff games on that way. But
No.
it went the Broncos' way, and the Bills, I'm sure, yeah, feel like they got screwed on that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess we can go to the next game of the weekend then, unless you have anything else for Bills Broncos.
Nope. Seattle and San Francisco.
Yeah. Uh, how'd your lock of the week turn out there?
Yeah, not great. I mean, it was quite brutal. Honest to God, it was a terrible game to watch. In fact, I didn't really even finish the game. Fourth quarter, I'm like, you know what? This is enough. This is how it's gonna end. Yeah, completely a blowout. Not really fun to watch. It felt over from the start. I mean, Seattle ran that kickback to start the game, and it's kind of like, oh
Yeah.
man. San Francisco came out then, and I think they went either 3 and out or maybe they got one first down in there. And at that point, you're like, oh man, if Seattle goes and scores here, this thing might be over. And they scored fairly quickly. So, yeah, it really was kind of over from the start. How do you feel about, we'll come back to the game a little bit in a second and talk about San Francisco, but how do you feel about benching your starters in the playoffs? Winning, losing, you're in the playoffs, you bench your starters. How do you feel?
I don't know. I guess I almost think you almost leave it up to the players in that case. Like
Mm,
if they just have given up and aren't giving their best, okay, yeah, it's time to sit them down. If they've given up, it's over. And I guess at that point the game was over anyways. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you'd like to have the type of culture where those guys still want to go out there and compete. Um,
sure.
and if that's the case, you leave them out there. You let them try to get something going just to feel better about themselves in the locker room or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you can't. I think you got to leave the players out there. I think you're in the playoffs. You anything can happen, especially in the NFL. Like you got to leave your guys out there. I think if you're the winning team and you're 5 minutes left in the game, fine. If you're winning by a large margin, and I think that's okay because you have got a game next week most likely that you have to play, and I think that's okay. I think you're the losing team. You keep the guys out there and let them go at it and see if they can get some more points on the board. San Francisco in that game, like I said, disappointing. I think the Seattle defense, credit to them, very, very good. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for the Rams this week, which we'll talk about. But I think obviously, San Francisco coming into the game very hurt. More injuries in that game. And you had McCaffrey go out for a little while. Backup tight end who was playing well, he went out for a while, and I don't think he came back either. So,
Have you seen the
yeah, in
theory about
general,
the Niners injuries that's going around right now?
no. What is it?
So their facility is right next to this like super mega power plant or something.
Okay.
that apparently is emitting this frequency of energy that in one study has shown to over time potentially break down like collagen. And
Hmm.
the 49ers, since this, I think either since they moved their facility there or since this power plant was built, whichever one came second,
Yeah.
they have had substantially higher injury rates
Injury. Hmm.
disproportionately to the rest of the league. Um,
Wow.
so it's kind of a interesting case study going down that they might have to move their facility.
Yeah, you got to look
I
at that.
mean,
You got to look at that. You
because
can't
it
go into
is,
next year and
yeah, it's every year
yeah, it's
they got guys Achilles and ACLs and everything
yeah,
more than the rest of the league. So there might be
right.
something to that, but yeah,
Something to that. Yeah.
just crazy that that might actually be a scenario there. Just a little side note, I saw that earlier this
No,
week. I
that's a
thought that
good
was
yeah, that's a
interesting.
good note. It is very interesting. Well, we can move on to Houston and the Patriots unless you have anything more on Seattle and 40 San Francisco.
No, yeah, we can go over to New England and just my initial thoughts were, I mean, against the Steelers, that Texans defense looked like Super Bowl caliber, even with a mediocre offense. Then my takeaway was if CJ Stroud can play anywhere close to rookie
Mm.
year CJ Stroud, they could go all the way to the Super Bowl. And CJ Stroud absolutely did not do that. He was bad again, and he was able to sink the great Texans defense. Um, and my other kind of thought on the Patriots side of things is I look back at the numbers and they're not bad, but Drake May just hasn't felt impressive yet in the playoffs in his 2 games. So I'll be curious to see in the AFC Championship if he can turn it up a notch and kind of look more like a MVP runner-up that he's most likely going to be.
Yeah. I think coming into this game, we knew it was going to be a defensive battle. You know, Drake May, I said it last week. He has not played, he didn't play well in the wild card round, even though they won. And the Houston defense is like, you know, is obviously very, very good. So Drake May was going to have to play really well. So both defenses are good. I think it was a snow game also. I think the snow magnified how good the defenses are. They're both very good, but obviously offensively both teams struggled a bit with the ball. Um, I believe there were 8 turnovers in that game, roughly. I think 8 turnovers, and so that just shows you again, you know, what the defenses are doing there, and obviously with the snow as well. CJ Stroud, yeah, I mean, played really terribly, truthfully, which is disappointing because they were in the game most of the game. I mean, it was a game they could have won. Um, Obviously, no Nico Collins to start the game. Dalton Schultz went out middle of the game as well. But, you know, no excuses there. He just made poor choices. Houston couldn't run the ball at all. So, you know, you get their next really good player, Woody Marks, on the team, and you needed him to play well with the injuries that they were dealing with. So, all in all, yeah, kind of a disappointing one. You know, very, very defensive and a game that Houston could have won. Probably going forward for the rest of the playoffs, a good thing that they didn't. I think the Patriots are going to be more of a better offensive team to watch. But again, Drake May is going to have to play well. He hasn't played well all playoffs, really, and just not what we've seen all year.
Yeah, just those Texans, if I don't know what their contracts and salary cap situation is, but if they're able to run it back with that defense and
Yeah.
get more out of CJ Stroud and the offense, maybe revamp the offensive line a little bit, man, next year they could be a scary, scary team if
Scary. Yeah, for sure.
if they're able to pull that off. So, but yeah, I mean Patriots, they've kind of gotten their biggest mark against them all year is the cupcake schedule, and so far it kind of feels like they've had a couple cupcake playoff games too, kind of just
Yeah.
duds that they're able to win, and all of a sudden they find themselves in the AFC Championship. So
Yeah.
yeah, then we can go to the last game of the weekend, Rams Bears. I'll let you start it off. I got as a certified Bears hater, I've got some notes and things I want to talk about, but you can go first.
Sure. Great game. Great game. I mean, it was also almost all the games this weekend, except for maybe the Seattle game, which was bad for another reason. All of them like started out slow. And it was kind of a weekend where it felt like everybody took some time to get into it. Felt like it took some time for the defenses the offenses to figure it out. Defenses played well. And this was the same. I mean, this was a typical Bears game where we knew coming in Matthew Stafford might struggle a little bit with the cold. It was very cold for the game. I think it was 12 degrees, I think, at kickoff. Little boring to start. And then it picked up, right? And it picked up, and the Rams took the lead in the fourth quarter. Caleb Williams threw obviously a crazy touchdown pass there to tie the game. We'll talk about in a second about if they should have gone for two or not. But yeah, I mean, had him set up to win the game on a crazy pass from Caleb Williams, and just a really, really fun game overall. So what do you think? Should they have gone for two? Should they have not gone for two, the Bears? There was like 20 seconds left in the game. What do you do down one?
My gut reaction is not as wanting the Bears to lose, but actually like what would I want my team to do in that situation? It felt like to me the right decision to kick the extra point. It just felt like it took everything to get to that point, and you didn't have any energy or thought to even consider what happens when we score the touchdown, to be prepared. The whole team is just like scattered around the field. Caleb Williams at the 50-yard line. He just chucked it from there, and the guys are celebrating, and the crowd's going crazy. You just kick your extra point, take it to overtime, and carry all that momentum with you. That was my thought, which normally I'd be a guy to say just go for it there, go for the kill. But to me in that situation, it felt like the right call. What do you think?
I think they should have gone for two. I think coming into that game, I thought the Rams were gonna like win that game pretty heavily. I thought the Bears were gonna have some fight and be in the game. But I thought the Rams coming fourth quarter, I kind of thought like, hey, the Rams will have this a little bit, and they didn't. I think the Rams. As the Bears, you should know what the Rams have done all year, what they've been capable of. I, as a fan watching it, I'm like, hey, the Rams are the better team here. I get they're the lower seed, but they're a better team than the Bears. And I think they go for two. I think you go for two in that situation because my initial thought was, hey, what happens? You get the ball in overtime, you don't score, whether you get the ball right away or you get the second possession. You get 3 or 4 plays and you're done. You don't score. Are you going to knock yourself of the fact that, hey, you know what? We could have won the game there in overtime or before overtime. Now, that obviously didn't happen. I mean, both teams had a chance to win the game in overtime. The Rams, I forget who got the ball first. Did the Rams get the ball
Rams
first?
got the ball, and they went 3 and out on
3 and out,
runs.
yes.
They didn't even put the ball in Stafford's hands once, which I thought was coaching, like terrible.
Bad coaching, yes,
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, I think the Rams got the ball first. They went 3 and out, and then they got the ball. Chicago got the ball. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, you know what? Like they got the ball. They have opportunity. Now it's fine. Now I'm okay. You kick the field goal, you can go win the game, or kick the extra point and go win the game now. And then obviously, interception by Caleb Williams, and they ended up losing. But I think, yeah, you can't beat yourself up about kicking the extra point now since you had the chance in overtime and had a good chance in overtime with the Rams not scoring. But in the moment, I go for two.
Yeah, that's a fair take. I just think in that situation, hindsight's 2020, obviously, and
Yeah.
no matter either way, I don't think it's an egregious decision. So, yeah, I guess my kind of overall thoughts on the game. I want to get into Caleb Williams a little bit at the end, but my overall thoughts was, as a Packer fan, it was a very enjoyable hate watch. I mean, what more could you want than a little get their hopes up and heartbreak? I will say I was a little nervous at times, like, oh my gosh, the Bears are actually going to win. Like, are you kidding me? even when it was whatever it was, a one-score game or
Mm.
even tied in like the fourth quarter, third quarter, I was like, oh, the Bears are going to win because that's what they've been doing
It
all
felt
year.
like it. Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was
It
just
felt like it.
this that was the exact game the Bears needed to happen, was let their offense drag for the first two or three quarters and then still be in the game when it comes down to the wire, and that's exactly what happened. But yeah, they get the miracle to send it to overtime and uh, get their hearts broken in overtime. Just went to sleep with a smile on my face that night. Um, I will say it, as much as it must suck being a Bears fan over the last 30 years, getting to have that experience of the inverse of watching the Packers losing the playoffs every year, that's a pretty good end to the season. Whereas if you're the team in the playoffs, your season either ends with a Super Bowl, obviously, or heartbreak. So getting the little joy out of the end of the season is a good note going into the off season for Packers fans out there. But otherwise, on the Rams side, they just did not impress. We kind of both agreed they're the better team. We both had the Rams winning the Super Bowl. Really, in large part, just due to Stafford. For me, at least, Stafford being able to put together game-winning drives and score points when they need
Mm.
it. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their offense was just lackluster throughout, and even in overtime, got the ball first, went 3 and out, and luckily got the ball back, and ended up getting it done. But yeah, their offense just not looking the same as it did for most of the season. Their defense did their part for the most part, so if they can keep that rolling, give them a chance against Seattle. But
Yeah.
yeah, just not overall a very
Yeah, it
impressive
wasn't exciting.
performance.
Yeah, it wasn't impressive. I agree. Um, yeah, it wasn't impressive, and I think that yeah, Stafford is going to have to play better. I think they're going to have to be coached better in the championship game. So yeah, I agree. Well, let's take a look at some championship games this weekend, huh?
First, I got to get my Caleb Williams talk out there.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, talk about Caleb Williams.
So I will say he is a very unique talent. He can make plays that almost nobody can make, and he pulls them off. And in that sense, he's a human highlight reel. Just the plays he can make with his legs, the arm talent he has to just huck it down there when he's got falling over. It He really, in that sense, reminds me of prime Aaron Rodgers. Just you can't sack him. He's gonna make a play with his legs, and he's gonna get the ball down the field and hurt you with some ridiculous throws. Um, where he doesn't remind me of Aaron Rodgers is all the other plays when he's just missing open routine throws by 5+ yards, which everyone kind of knows his accuracy is struggling. Where I want some Caleb Williams hate is where's the hate when we're looking at a guy who in a playoff game he threw 3 picks, his passer rating was 60, and this is supposed to be the most, he makes these insane clutch plays. He throws a game losing pick in overtime when they're 15 yards from field goal range for the win. That is,
Hmm.
and I don't see anyone talking like they kind of breeze over. Oh yeah, Caleb. Yeah, the Rams got an interception to get the ball back. It's like, no, Caleb Williams threw the game away with an interception. Where I just see if Jordan Love gets hate for the stupidest plays, and I don't see anyone calling out Caleb Williams here on in the biggest moment, throwing a pick in overtime when they were right on the cusp of going into field goal range for the win. So, um, yeah, I guess
I
that's my kind of rant. Is I don't see enough people blaming Caleb Williams for throwing 3 total interceptions, including one in overtime.
I think what you're seeing that is, and I agree with you. I think you do have to fault the quarterback there. There should be some accountability there. I think the hard part and why you're not seeing that is the Bears this year. There's so little expectations. It's his second year. They weren't expected to be that good. It was, hey, we just got Ben Johnson as a head coach. Like, we'll see how this thing goes. Basically, the Bears fans actually, as the Bears walked off the field, they like gave them a standing ovation. Like when they as they walked off the field, because this season was one that it was like, hey, anything after making the playoffs was gravy. Then they beat the Packers, and it was like, hey, anything now really is gravy and extra. And so I think, yeah, Caleb Williams did not play well. He made some mistakes, and I think you're going to get that. I think if you see that going forward in the next several years, I think, yeah, you're going to start to see people hopefully hold him more accountable. I think this year you're looking at it as a Bears fan, and you're like, hey, this was like a great season, all things considered. Ben Johnson actually doesn't see it that way, which I think is a good mindset that you need from a coach. But it's from a fan's perspective, like, hey, I mean, we exceeded expectations for them. And I think that's why you're not seeing people kind of outraged this year.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I just had to get that out there because
Yeah, no, fair
it was
enough.
grinding my gears a little bit. That, um, in my opinion, he kind of because it really felt like they were right around midfield, needing a field goal to win
Yeah.
it, and he extends the play and just turns it over. So that was I'm sure devastating play for the Bears fans, obviously, but just generally, all I'm seeing is the great throw to bring it to overtime, which again,
Yeah.
insane highlight play, but nobody's talking about the fact that he threw a pick in overtime. But we can move on. I just had to get my little rant off there, so
Fair enough.
we can go on to the championship games coming up. First, we can talk AFC, Patriots, Broncos. Obviously, we got Jarrett Stidham stepping up for the Broncos here, getting the start. In my mind, I know he's kind of an unknown because he hasn't really. I don't think he's taken a snap in a couple of years. In my mind, it's just borderline an automatic L for the Broncos. You're just trotting a guy out there with no experience, and I don't know. Just seems like going against a solid Patriots defense, they're going to need a lot of things to go right to even have a chance with Jarrett Stidham. And for the Patriots, really, I think they can simplify things and just focus on playing good, clean football. Just don't turn the ball over, win the turnover battle. And in my opinion, what they got to do when it comes down to it is not be too aggressive. It's fourth and 2 at midfield. Just punt it, pin them deep, make that offense go down the entire length of the field on you. Just play field position and let them be the ones to make the mistakes, make the turnovers, get stopped on fourth down, and take advantage of it. It's the Broncos defense is very, very good. So it's not going to be easy to rack up the points. So I think you just keep it simple and be an opportune team when the opportunities are there to take the Broncos out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for everybody involved here. I feel bad for Broncos fans. I feel bad for Jarrett Stidham. I feel bad for everybody except the Patriots because you're right. This is not going to be that good of a game. I think it starts as an okay game. I think, and okay, not high scoring. Okay, as in like it's a close score. I think it'll be defensive. The Patriots defense is very good. The Broncos defense is better in my opinion. I think the Broncos defense is going to struggle because I think they're going to be on the field a lot. Because I just don't think their offense is going to be able to get much going. Jarrett Stidham, you know what? I'll give credit. Sean Payton is like, Jarrett Stidham's ready to go. Like we're locked and loaded and like we feel good. And you know what? I get it. You can't come out there and be like, yeah, we're screwed. But I mean, he's talking his guy up. I mean, maybe we'll get a decent game. Maybe he'll have some offensive plays. A couple of years ago, his last start that Jarrett Stidham played, I mean, he threw 3 touchdown passes. So we'll see. It's been a long time, obviously, since he's actually started and played a game. But yeah, we'll see what that looks like. To your point, the Broncos, or rather the Patriots, need to just play smart. Drake May should use this game as one to like, hey, let's refine the skills. Let's make sure things are firing on all cylinders going forward. Obviously, don't take the game lightly, but yeah, make smart decisions. Punt the ball. It's okay to do that. Pin them deep. The defense can take care of a lot of things. I think Jarrett Stidham at the end of the day is going to struggle. And I think that the Patriots will win this pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. One interesting note was that when I checked earlier today, the Patriots are only 3.5 point favorites, which
Yeah.
I expected it to be higher. It said the line opened at 4.5 favorites, and it's actually down to 3.5. Um, so I was considering that for my lock of the week, but last week I got burned by half a point. I had the Rams -3.5, and they won by 3. So I went a different direction, but we'll get to that in a little bit. All right, then we can get into the other championship game, Rams Seahawks. I'll let you take the lead on this one.
So Rams Seahawks obviously in the same division. They've played twice already this year. They've split the series this season 1-1. The home teams won both games. I think it's set to be a good game. Both teams, I think, are defensively. I think Seattle defensively is obviously better than the Rams. I think the Rams do have a decent defense. I think Seattle's is better. I think offensively the Rams are better than Seattle. So I think it'll be a really close game. I think there's going to be times that both defenses show and show up. I think offensively there's going to be times that both offenses show up. Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL last week, so he actually, I think, is a pretty big part of that Seattle offense. Kenneth Walker at times has struggled this year. He's played. It feels like he has a game when he plays games. Kenneth Walker, he's either like, man, I'm gonna run for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, or like I'm gonna run for 25 yards and carry the ball 6 times. I think he's gonna get the ball a lot. And I think he's going to have a good game this weekend. And it's going to come down to, can Matthew Stafford overcome the Seattle defense? I think if he can do that, I think if he plays well, I think the Rams can win the game. So I think overall, that's what we're looking at here. Should be an elite game.
Yeah, this should be a great one. I broke it down in the two matchups we'll see is the Seahawks defense against the Rams offense. And that matchup really to me is a tale of two tapes. The Seahawks defense was good all year. At the beginning of the year, they were just good. Since the bye, they have been lights out, incredible, and have carried that obviously into the playoffs with how they played against the Niners last week. And the Rams, all season, their offense was just cooking everyone, and it's just been sputtering lately. So I'm curious to see if the Rams can find a little groove here again, or if the Seahawks get out to a lead here and that defense can just stifle the Rams like they have been doing to everyone lately. Then on the other side of the ball, you got the Seahawks offense against the Rams defense, which the Rams defense has been playing pretty solid. For the Seahawks, I think they just need to try to maintain some consistency on offense, the balanced attack, like you said, Kenneth Walker, without Charbonnet, and then through the air, their passing game is best when they can also run the ball. So I think a big matchup will be in the trenches. Their good offensive line. Will they be able to create holes for the run game and protect Sam Darnold? Just keep him from getting flustered in the big moment, in the big game. Keep him upright and confident, and that's kind of, I think, the keys right there. So I am leaning towards the Seahawks. It's hard to pick against them with how dominant they just looked. Going to be at home again. That stadium is always loud as can be. Um, so I kind of like the Seahawks in this one, even though the Rams are my Super Bowl pick. I think for the Rams to win, it's going to take Stafford playing like an MVP that he most likely is going to be. He's got to bring that out and bring his A+ game this week for them to have a chance to win.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams. We picked them for the Super Bowl for a reason, so I'm taking the Rams. I think they'll play well. I think Stafford will show up. I think Devontae Adams is going to play better. He's had a really, really tough postseason so far. Puka Nacua also kind of a tough postseason so far. He's played, which watching it, he looks like he's played fine, but just statistically, you'd expect a little more from him. So I think both the receivers are going to get it done. Stafford's like the tight ends all year. I think, if you can, especially if they can get Kyron Williams and Blake Corum going a little bit against the Seattle defense, if they have any type of run game that works successfully, I think Seattle wins the game because then they're going to open up play actions and be able to pass the ball more and all that kind of good stuff. So I like the Rams.
Yeah. Before we move on, I got to shout out my brother-in-law on the other side, Paul. After our first episode, he texted me his thoughts, and he said we were sleeping on the Seahawks. So after watching that Niners game, he has me convinced. I'm kind of jumping over, joining him here, and think the Seahawks get it done. So just had to give a little shout out there. But
We'll see if they make the Super Bowl. Maybe I'll go that way. We'll see.
all right. Next, we got the Lock of the Week segment here. Like we discussed, we both took the L last week. You had the Niners. I had the Rams by 3.5. So we'll look to bounce back here. What do you have for this week?
Yeah, so down to a 1-1 record now, undefeated no more. It was short lived. 49ers plus 7.5. I gave them 7.5 points, and they still didn't cover. They got blown out. This week, Patriots money line. I got easy. Just take them out for the win the game. I think Drake May does it. I think the Broncos are going to struggle after a while. I think Jared Stidham's just not going to be able to keep up and do it. So I'm taking the Patriots.
Yeah, that's a fair pick. I definitely was looking at the lines on that game. Planning on taking the Patriots spread, and it was smaller than I expected at 3.5. But then I'm just sitting there thinking, what does Vegas know that I don't? This is going to somehow be a close game, and they might end up winning by a field goal, like what happened to me last week. So I turned away from that. I looked at the money line and wanted to just take the Patriots money line there, like you did, but it was a little, I don't know, just like minus 240 odds. So I was like, that's kind of lame. I gotta spice it up a little bit. So I went over to the points total. It worked well for me again for the Packers Bears game. That's where I got it right. And this one, it's at 42.5, and I am taking the under. Jarrett Stidham's playing quarterback for the Broncos. The Broncos defense is elite. What really has me most concerned about this going over is if there's one or two big special teams or defensive plays or scores. We could see a pick six or two, or just costly turnovers in the red area that lead to points for the opposing offense that they otherwise wouldn't score. So I like this as long as those scenarios don't happen to an extreme. And like I mentioned before, if the Patriots take a somewhat conservative approach to the game, like I believe they should, and, punt in those 50-50 situations and emphasize taking care of the ball and winning the turnover battle. So that's kind of where I went for my lock of the week, going under 42.5. So
I like it.
we'll both be watching that game. Hopefully we can both be happy at the end of it with our picks.
Yes, hopefully we'll have a positive record next week.
Yeah. All right. Want to talk a little college football championship?
Yeah, it was an exciting game.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I didn't watch all of it. I watched some, but yeah, good game. And Mendoza had his Heisman moment there. Yeah, what do you have for takeaways?
I think that, like I said last week in kind of the preview, the Indiana defense was going to have to be better than the Miami defense. The Miami defense, if Indiana could score, great, right? That's what they needed to do, and the Miami defense was set up coming into that game in a position where, hey, that's what they were confident in. Obviously, confident offensively as well, but defense was their big thing in Miami. The Indiana defense played really, really well. They had a big special teams play there as well. And I think, that's really the biggest difference in the game. The Miami offense played well at times. There are more points scored in this game than I originally had expected. It started really, really slow. I think the first half actually was really slow, and then almost like a Bears game in the fourth quarter, they just both turned it on. Yeah, it was a really kind of slow game. Felt defensive. Kind of felt like it was going the way I thought it would. Not a lot of points scored. But Carson Beck and Miami, they made a nice comeback. Indiana scored on a block punt, and then it felt like the game was over at that point. It felt like, oh, this is like where it's gonna end pretty much, and Indiana had control, and Miami made a couple nice plays to have a comeback. So the Indiana defense made the play when it mattered at the end to get the interception. But yeah, it was a fun game to watch. People kind of, I think, started watching that game, and it was a little slower, but they got a good game at the end.
Yeah. And the good news is pretty much the entirety of America was happy with the result. Everyone got to celebrate.
Yes.
Everyone wanted Indiana to win. They were the Cinderella story, and we got it to all the way to the end there. So nice win for the country, rooting for Indiana. And I mean, just overall, what a historic turnaround of a program. I mean, it's the greatest. It's the greatest of all time, going from the losingest program in college football, and you come in and in your second year go undefeated with national champions. Just a ridiculous accomplishment by Kurt Signetti and that Indiana team. Now I'm curious to see going forward, how do they back it up? Mendoza's going away. His little brother transferred out of there. So they're going to have to retool and see what they can do. I'm just curious to see what Signetti does to establish
Yeah.
themselves as a powerhouse rather than a quick
One and
flash
done.
and there they
Yeah.
go. They had their fun.
Yeah.
So will be interesting to see going forward. Do you have anything else college football related you want to get to, or should we move on?
No, we can move on. I think, when we come towards before college football season next year, we can kind of debrief a little more about, the 12-team playoff that was announced that's staying today and what that looks like, and just kind of different ways to improve college football. I think they're making some good progress now, and how we keep it going.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely get to that sometime throughout the year here. Our last topic I want to get to today is the NFL coaching carousel. There's obviously been lots of head coach firings and open positions, some of which have been filled. You can kick us off here just wherever you want to go with it, probably with your Giants, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Giants for sure. So we've got 10 spots that are 10 teams, I should say, that are looking for head coaches. 5 of them have been filled, so we're halfway there. Yeah, we'll start with the Giants. I like what's going on there. Obviously, they signed John Harbaugh. And I think the nicest and most important thing there is not the fact that they actually signed John Harbaugh. It's what he's bringing to the organization. They are in like a full restructuring of the organization, which is needed. Harbaugh was announced, or it was rumored, or whatever you're going to call it, that he was going to sign and become the next head coach. And it took like 48 hours for it to become official. And everyone was kind of sitting going like, oh, is he going to like not do this or decide for whatever reason he's not going to stay? And then it came out that he was waiting because he wanted to find out a little bit more about what the restructuring could look like of the organization. They've fired a couple people already, or already on the staff that were there last year. Sounds like the one of the special teams coaches is gone. Sounds like as of today, most of the defensive staff isn't coming back. The offensive line coach isn't coming back. I mean, they're going to fully restructure the organization. I would not be shocked if Joe Shane, the general manager, if he gets fired now. It was said at the end of the year that he was going to stay, which I didn't like to begin with, but I figured, maybe they'd give it a year and see. But I wouldn't be shocked now if they fire him also, and figure something else out there too. So I think Harbaugh is bringing a lot of good things to the organization. Obviously, his coaching style, his the success that he's had talks for itself. But I think there's a lot more he's bringing there too. We've got some other spots filled, and I think all these coaches are in good spots for them. Obviously, Kevin Stefanski was the big one outside of Harbaugh, and he's in Atlanta now. We've got Jesse Minter, former Michigan defensive coordinator, and then he was at the Chargers. He's coaching rather, in Baltimore. Robert Sala's the coach of the Titans, and Jeff Halfley in Miami. So I'll let you kind of break down a little bit there, and then we can talk about some of the potential coaches that could go other places as well.
Yeah. I guess first off with the Giants, I just wanted to touch on, you kind of want the GM gone, where I'm not a Giants fan, so I don't know them as well as you. But from my perspective, it kind of looks like he's put together a decent roster. I mean, that D line is nasty. He's hit on some draft picks. I mean, Jackson Dart, Abdul Carter, Malik Neighbors. He's brought in some dudes. So I don't think it would be the worst thing from my perspective if they keep him around. He seems decent.
One thing with that, so he's hit on some draft picks for sure. He's missed on more. They also he did not want to draft Neighbors. Dable was the one who actually convinced them to draft Neighbors. It was not, I forget who he wanted to take, but he wanted to take somebody else. And Jackson Dart was Dable's decision. He made the decision to go get Dart and draft him, and that's what made the decision for the front office. And then they fired him. It's I don't know what I personally, what I would have done actually if I was the team, is if I was the ownership, is I would have let him finish out the year. There was no reason to go fire him and have Mike Kafka coach. They thought maybe Mike Kafka might be the head coach, and they could just promote him afterwards instead of just make him interim. But obviously that didn't happen. And so now it feels like Jackson Dart was developing much better under Dable than he was under Mike Kafka the last 4 or 5 games. So if it were me, I would have kept him. If you were going to fire him, still think Dable should have got fired, but you could have waited till the end of the year. The year was over by the time they fired him. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fair take. I didn't realize a couple of those picks were kind of on Dable more than Joe over there at the GM spot. So yeah. Then I could see you wanting to move on from him and get someone else in there. But yeah, I think Harbaugh is a great hire for you guys. He's he knows how to win. He's been doing it a long time. He'll be a good leader for that roster. Elsewhere, you mentioned Stefanski going to Atlanta. This is there's actually 2 hires here I want to get into some beef. Have you seen the Baker Mayfield tweet about Stefanski? Yeah. So Baker tweets out about how when he got traded out of Cleveland and Stefanski never said bye and kind of screwed him over, this, that, and the other thing. So he's got some beef there. Looking forward to 2 matchups a year, Baker against Stefanski. Baker's just a fun guy to watch, and he'll be bringing his A game and trying to impress. So those will be fun matchups. Divisional rivalry brought to another level with some beef there. And then also with the Titans, Robert Sala, he's got beef with Liam Cohen. I don't know if you've seen that as well.
Oh,
It
that
was,
I haven't seen.
yeah, it was after their game this year, I believe, because he was DC for the Niners, and they were like, it was after the game, like during the handshakes, but they were talking words and like players were holding them back, and
Oh, wow.
like keep my name out your mouth was being said, and all this, that, and the other thing. So now they get to go head to head as head coaches. So that'll be some great beef drama there as well within another division. So that I'm all for it. Give me the drama. Um, and then otherwise, Jesse Minter going back to the Ravens. He was there for a stint before, like you said, also at Michigan and then the Chargers. I think that's a solid hire. He'll kind of bring back that the Ravens always have a good defense. He should kind
Yep.
of restore that. That wasn't up to their standard this year. I think he,
No,
he
I
was a good
agree.
hire to bring
That's
that back. And then the Dolphins getting Jeff Halfley, stealing him from the Packers. Um, it kind of just felt like all year, Packer fans were just kind of in agreement that Halfley was going to be gone. And he coached pretty
yeah.
well, at least, especially at the start of the season, he coached really well. Later, without Micah Parsons, it gets a lot tougher. And overall, the defense was good this year, but it wasn't elite like lots of people thought it would be. So I still think he's a good hire for the Dolphins. Kind of going in the opposite direction of Mike McDaniel, where he was kind of the funny guy out there, just goofy. Where Halfley is that brings that professional leader of men type of presence. So I'm happy for him. Hopefully he can do well there in Miami, and then that leaves my Packers looking for a defensive coordinator. I just want to touch on that a little bit. Uh, I guess first of all, the Packers decided to keep Matt LaFleur, which the more I thought about it, I think it was the right decision. I'm okay with that choice. And now with their defensive coordinator search, I'm curious which way they're going to end up going. Two names that I like. A lot of people from Wisconsin will know and are wanting Jim Leonard. He was the former defensive coordinator for the Badgers. He's with the Broncos right now, kind of second in command over there. And he just was a beast at Wisconsin as a defensive coordinator. He brings an aggressive style, lots of blitzes, scheming up, free rushers, getting sacks. It's a fun defensive style. The other guy I'm interested in is actually Jim Schwartz over at Cleveland. He's
Mm.
he's always as a coordinator put out good defenses, very good defenses, and even with Cleveland this year, with their offense being as bad as it was, he put out a good defense centered on Myles Garrett. And guess what? The Packers have the next best thing in Micah Parsons, with, in my opinion, more better pieces around him potentially.
Around him,
Not
sure.
necessarily
Yeah.
on the D line, but uh, linebackers and safeties especially. They got some pieces that
Sure.
Jim Schwartz, I'm sure, would love to use. Evan Williams, Xavier McKinney, Edgerrin Cooper, those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So that's almost my favorite. I don't know how realistic it is, but it would be cool to bring him in. So that's kind of little aside there for the Packers defensive coordinator. But we can get into the other head coach openings here. So the teams left looking for coaches are still the Cardinals, Browns, Raiders, Steelers, and Bills. Do you have
Yep.
do you have thoughts for any of those teams? Any direction? Any team you want to start with?
I just start with saying the Brown. I feel bad for the Browns because they've had a lot of people lined up for head coaching interviews there. I think three of them now that have had head coaching interviews there, and they've interviewed other people also, but three people specifically. Um, have dropped out like day before the interview. They're like, yeah, no, we're good. We've got better offers elsewhere, and we're gonna like go take them. I think Jesse Minter for sure, and I think Halfley also, and there might have been one more that had interviews set with the Browns, and we're like, yeah, we're good. Like
That's
we've
brutal.
got better offers, and yeah, so it's tough because it's like, yeah, I mean these are like good coaches, and they're kind of like, oh yeah, well, we don't want to coach the Browns. Basically, we've got better offers, so I do feel for them a little bit. And I think the Browns too, like I think they can be good. I think they just need the right coach there to kind of bring a couple things together. And obviously they need a few different pieces offensively. But so I don't necessarily have specific picks of who I think is going to go where, but I'll we can talk a little bit about that. I think of kind of the more common coaches that are available that you think would find a job. I think Mike McDaniel is going to land somewhere. I actually don't think Mike McDaniel is that good of a coach.
He
I think to your point.
he signed with the Chargers as offensive coordinator.
Oh, see, that's good. It's good that he's an offensive coordinator. I think he's a much better would be a much better offensive coordinator than a head coach because the to your point, the kind of we're gonna be all childish and kind of
Trendy.
friendly with the players, trendy, yeah. That's not a good way to go to be a head coach. I think you can do that if you're an offensive coordinator. I think he does call decent plays and is a good offensive coordinator. Like to your point,
Yeah, it's a
but
great
I
hire by the
just
Chargers for
great hire.
getting him as an OC. That's great.
You can't have somebody like that leading the team.
No.
Okay, so we'll move on from him then. Sean McDermott, I think he'll land somewhere. I don't personally even think he should have got fired in Buffalo. I don't think that was the problem. I think there are reasons why they obviously did, and that's fine. But I think the problem there was that Josh Allen was throwing to nobody. I mean, he had virtually no receivers there. So I think McDermott's a good coach. I think he will land somewhere. I also think Joe Brady, the Bills' offensive coordinator, could land somewhere. He, I think, is doing a couple interviews. So I could see him, obviously being an offensive-minded coach, I could see him going somewhere like Pittsburgh would be a good fit for him with, they've got a fairly decent offense built already. And I think that'd be a good place to have a good offensive coach. And the Cardinals, too. I mean, the Cardinals got some good offensive pieces. I think that'd be good for him. And then I'll say, it'd be fun to see Mike McCarthy coach again. He took a couple years off in there, felt like, after he got let go by Dallas. But yeah, I think he's still got a little bit in him, and I think Mike McCarthy's one of those coaches, kind of similar to John Harbaugh in my mind, of like, he's a winner. He knows how to win. He knows what to do. He might not take you to the Super Bowl, or he might not win you the Super Bowl as that type of coach, which is okay. But some of these teams, the Browns, the Raiders, Cardinals, those three types of teams, those are teams that like need to get to the next level of just like, hey, not go from where you are today to winning the Super Bowl, but go from where you are today to winning, making the playoffs, being competitive in the division. And I think a coach like McCarthy, a coach like Harbaugh can do that. And that's what some of these teams need.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, I completely forgot Mike McCarthy existed out there. Just yeah, he could be an interesting hire. Another one of note was Brian Flores, Vikings defensive coordinator, was his contract ended, so he was free to go sign anywhere, and he's had a couple head coach interviews, but he also did just sign with the Vikings again as their defensive
Yeah.
coordinator. My understanding is that doesn't entirely rule him out from getting a head coach offer and leaving the DC
Yep.
spot to go be a head coach. But anyone that was hoping maybe he wanted a change of scenery as a defensive coordinator, the Packers are out of luck because he is a great defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had a chance in Miami for a couple of years that as head coach that didn't go well. But man, he knows how to coach defense, that's for sure. So Vikings fans, I'm sure, are praying he doesn't get a head coach offer and they get to keep him around because he is really good for them. Otherwise, is Brian Dayball, is he in talks anywhere? Do you know?
Yeah, he's in talks. He's had interviews in Buffalo for sure, and he was in Buffalo before. He was their OC, I
That's
believe,
right. Yeah.
in Buffalo. So there's potential that he could go there. Um, I think that'd be a great fit for him. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's really good. I think he's offensive minded. I think what he did for Daniel Jones in the playoff year, his first year as a coach, I think shows a lot. Um, I think it just time had kind of run out with him in New York, and I think also with the Giants, it wasn't just an issue of, hey, you know what, the coaching needed to come in and call good plays and be a good presence there in the locker room. There were a lot of things that needed to happen in New York, and I think are happening now or will happen now that they're kind of gutting everybody and saying, hey, we're going to restructure the organization. There's a lot of things that need to happen there. I think most coaches that you would have put in New York few years ago, 3-4 years ago, when he took over the head coaching job, I think most coaches would have failed big picture because the organization just wasn't ready. Or able to compete at that time. So I think Dable will be a good fit in Buffalo because Buffalo obviously is not only are they competing now, they're close to the Super Bowl. I mean, you've got to think a little more defensive help there, and then get a couple receivers and they'll be fine. So a couple pieces needed there. Dable would be a good fit there. I could see Dable also in like Arizona. Again, one of those teams. Dable's one that I don't think can go somewhere and like, hey, let's build up from the ground up. I think he needs to go somewhere that's going to be a little more put together already.
Yeah, that's fair. Bringing up the Bills, that reminds me, did you see the Bills owner press conference where he absolutely dunks on Keon Coleman?
The Bills owner. So Bills, I on a lot of Bills Twitter and things like that, and they hate their owner. They don't like the owner at all. The owner, two things. Yes, I mean, he called it the Keon Coleman situation. That's just not good. Like
That's a
that
dude
can't be
that's
good.
under contract for another couple years. He's on your team.
Yes,
And
yes.
you
The
just basically call him a
situation.
mistake to everyone.
Yes. Yeah, the Keon Coleman situation, who is on the team, like is going to be there next year, most likely you'd assume, as if everything stays the same. So, I saw that, and then I also saw the owner in the press conference or different conference. They basically asked, they were talking to the general manager, and they said, "Can you give me a little insight, basically, behind why you think you lost the game?" And the owner interrupted and said, because of a bad call, like in the middle of the press conference. So the owner there is he just says what he wants to and says how he feels, and
Yeah.
that's what it
I'm
is.
glad the
So
Packers don't have to deal with a stupid owner. That is one nice thing over
fair
there.
enough.
Yeah.
Good point.
One other, while we were talking about Brian Dable as well, you mentioned the Patriots offensive coordinator. What's his name? Joe Brady.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah. He's the Bills offensive coordinator, Joe
Oh, he's the
Brady.
Bills offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
That's
Bills
right.
offensive
Okay.
coordinator.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was a little turned around there, but yeah, I'll be curious to see where Dable ends up. If he ends up with a head coaching gig or back to an OC.
Yeah, I mean
One,
he could be an OC, and that would be a good fit for him too. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there for him. I think he'll land a job at the end of this, and it could be a head coach, could be an OC.
yeah. One kind of theory I've been formulating over the last, I guess mostly this year, as I've been thinking about coaching moves, is that there's certain guys that really just need to be coordinators. They're just not built to be
Mm.
head coaches. They're great offensive, defensive minds, and they're just not, for whatever reason, just their style doesn't work as a head coach. And I'm curious going forward with so many examples of guys that try it, fail, and then go back to being a great coordinator. If there's going to be a trend of guys that know that they are best off just being a coordinator, and rather than going to be a head coach, failing, and then having to go back to being a coordinator, if they just from the gate know their role as a coordinator, know that they're really good at it, and want to stay as coordinators. Because once you go be a head coach and fail miserably, that can really tank your reputation, and then it really hurts your career as a coordinator. Where if you just stay as a coordinator, you can be elite and not have to go through that failure period. And maybe we see coordinators start getting paid more than they have before, because right now that's the way to get good coaches. That's got to be a promotion. To
Right.
If you want
Yeah,
a
I
good
think
coordinator from someone else, you got to make him your head coach and hope he can be a head coach too. Whereas maybe either teams, rather than trying to poach, like say Jeff Halfley from the Packers, if they really wanted him but they don't think he's going to be a good head coach, if they just come to him and say we want to trade for him with the Packers, or just try to increase the offer on with money or something to try to entice guys to come or stay depending on the situation as a coordinator, rather than this common arc of great coordinator,
got to
bad
be
head
promoted.
coach,
Yeah.
back to coordinator. So
Yeah, I think you could see that. I like that idea and that thought that you should see that happening, and it would be a lot more. You would hopefully see less failure then of people that are head coaches, and you wouldn't have this every year of like, oh, we've got to fire these coaches again, and go back to the beginning essentially of having to find something new because hey, we had to promote somebody to become to become a head coach from an offensive or defensive coordinator position, and then all of a sudden, yeah, it doesn't pan out because they weren't made to do that or made to be that. And yeah, I agree with you.
yeah, so to go along with that then too, I'm just curious going forward if we see a trend of maybe more head coaches that don't call plays for either side of the ball, that are just
Yeah.
the head coach that leads the team, makes the decisions, and leaves the play calling to their star coordinators who are getting, maybe they get paid more than any other coordinators in the league, and they just let them do their thing there and focus on leading the team.
I think that's how it should be. I think that's how it should be. Your head coach should not be calling the plays for you. There's so many other things a head coach has to worry about, especially physically at the game, that they have to worry about. That they should not be worrying about calling plays. I fully feel like that's how it should be.
Yeah, so just kind of a thought I've been
Yeah,
formulating over the last few weeks, and curious to see if that ends up panning out that way at all, or if I'm gonna be completely wrong. We'll see. But
yeah, we'll see. Well,
yeah,
all
so
right. Well,
that's all we got for today, I think. Um, like I said before, we'll be taking 2 weeks before we're back, so we'll be coming back right before the Super Bowl. Obviously, talking mostly about that and reacting to the AFC and NFC Championship games, and maybe a couple other topics that we find
yeah.
as we go. Um, yeah, I think we can wrap it up there unless you got anything else to add.
No, we're good. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
All right, thanks for watching. See you guys later.